So it is 6:30 in the afternoon here on a Tuesday on the Oregon coast. Overcast. There hasn't been a sun all day, but it's pleasant, nice day, and I haven't been out in a couple of days. This is technically my weekend. I volunteer here on the coast, and Mondays and Tuesdays are my days off. Spent it all day at home both days, and finally I was like, you really should. I'm only a mile from the ocean. I really gotta go see it. Like, don't ever take that thing for granted, and it's kind of how I think about it, which is a mindset that got me in the top 1% on Samsung Health's number of steps for weeks. My body was transforming, like literally parts of me just transformed over time, and just went through this whole process, which is totally beside the point. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about here, but I don't know, that mindset kind of got me to where I am, I guess. Like I said, it's 6:30. Maybe got a half a mile to the ocean. I'm just sitting here thinking, I made this project called Autonomy Realms. The whole purpose of it is to unflatten a life, to unflatten mine to start with. And you can literally see my life generated on a map, an atlas of the world, wherever I've been. And so if you zoom in on the Oregon coast, you see me living my life day after day. And everything I've experienced here over the past year and a half, I got to thinking, there's one way that I could demonstrate what this looks like by showing you on this map one particular place, Honeyman State Park, an Oregon State Park's flagship campground of theirs that I volunteered at in February and March of 2025. And for those 2 months, I was abused by their management, which I got on tape. And because I documented it, they retaliated against me. By the time I recorded this particular meeting, which you could see on my map because it is pinned to the very picnic table where it happened in March of 2025. By the time I was recording that meeting, it was already plain and obvious what they were doing to me. And that meeting would confirm it, but I also thought, maybe this would be enough to have a stalemate with these people, because, less than a month later, I'd have moved on to another park, and I would have put the whole matter behind me. So I recorded this meeting with them, where they told me to chew glass and swallow it, where they told me I would never be given the benefit of the doubt, where they told me I made everyone uncomfortable, where they told me I could just leave if I wanted to, where the supervisor spent nearly 20 minutes being silent, and the first word out of her mouth was tone. That's what intimidation looks like. And I kept it private because I wasn't trying to create waves with this institution. I loved Oregon State Parks, and I just wanted the abuse to stop. So I kept it private, and I told them that I had recorded it, hoping that would stop the abuse, but it didn't. Other things happened. A couple weeks later, when everybody was gone, every ranger, every part of their leadership, everybody in that park except for volunteers were gone, a man showed up to question me about how I felt about their leadership. And I documented that in real time, contemporaneously, because I knew it would be important. Now, it seemed dramatic to me because, I'm a volunteer. I'm literally cleaning their yurts. I'm just cleaning stuff. It's just such a small role for them to go to these lengths that it just seemed like, how could that possibly be true, right? And so I held it as a possibility, but also held it as other things. And I documented all of it because that's what I do. That's what I've always done. That's why I built Autonomy Realms. I document. Because leaving a record is how you unflatten a life. and how you give it meaning, how you give it permanence. If you don't do those things, these moments come and go, and I don't want to get too philosophical here. The point is, this is just what I do, right? So, a couple weeks after that happened. And then a week after that, the manager called me up on the phone and he dismissed me on the spot. He wanted to have a third meeting with me after I'd already recorded that other one, where there was obvious abuse. And I asked him why, and he just made up some dumb reason. And I finally called him a bully. You're just a bully. Like what else are you going to say at this point? And so he fired me on the spot. Came to my RV an hour later on camera, because I'm still documenting, I'm still recording, and takes the keys and admits he doesn't have any paperwork for this. No way to justify. He's just doing what he's doing, And that put me in a very precarious position, because I'm at a transitional period in my life where I'm transitioning from being a programmer all of my life since the 6th grade to something else because of artificial intelligence. And I didn't have any money. He threw me out when I was broke. So I made a video going over the past, the full 2-month timeline of what had happened to me in this park for my audience. And I asked for their help because it was the only channel that felt open to me at the time. It just felt a natural thing to do. And then I shared that video with the program manager at Oregon State Park so that she could, have my full story of what happened to me. This literally had just happened. A couple hours after he dismissed me, I was already on camera explaining it all. And the next day, I would have a meeting with her. And of course, I would record this too. And she used that whole meeting to treat me like I was a problem, to mischaracterize everything that had ever happened in that park, to victimize me, to make it so she could justify what she was about to do. The very next day, she wrote me a letter on state agency letterhead, with the only reason being why I was being banned from volunteering at any Oregon State Park ever was because of my comments about staff that I made online. She called them disparaging. To which I say, if describing the truth is disparaging, that says more about their conduct than it does what I'm articulating about it. But that's what they did. First Amendment retaliation on letterhead. State government agency did this. A bunch of other stuff happened, that I didn't mention in this video, but I built an archive about it, and you can learn everything from there, all 9 stages of the abuse that I was subjected to. The whole time, the only thing I have ever done is document my experience. And it was treated with some of the ugliest behavior I've ever seen in my whole life. And I'm nearly 50. This has gone all the way up the chain, all the way to the director and the governor. The governor's been silent, a gay governor, over a situation involving a gay man whose sexuality was weaponized by these people. It's one of the things I didn't say. Because for me, I don't like centering that. I never have. I don't like centering my sexuality. And for them, they didn't really care. It was just an easy handle for them to latch hold of and, to abuse. And but still, you got to point out the hypocrisy here, right? Because they're pretty stark. So anyways, I'm not actually relitigating this whole thing. This happened, even though there have been recent things. A couple months ago, they actually sent police to my door behind, on federal land, behind a locked gate, saying that I wasn't in any trouble, so why are they there? But they're concerned about what I'm posting about Oregon State Parks online. That happened on the anniversary of the day they dismissed me, of the day that man came to my RV and took the keys and said he didn't have a reason for this. He had no paperwork. that happened, and I documented it, put it up on YouTube before they even got back to their offices. There are 2 of the police officers they won't even identify. I cannot get a straight answer about who was even there. So this just tells you this is a whole situation that happened to me. And I never could have forecast, or even as a systems thinker, as a systems developer, like I could never have forecast out that this is how an institution will respond to the simplest of documentation. It's corrupt, right? It's very corrupt, and it's so petty and so shocking to me that I guess I have days where I'm just like, wow, like how did something as simple as me feeling small because my supervisor was very dismissive to me, how did that origin event compound into what it is now? I don't have an answer for that, but I documented it all, and it's part of my realm. It's part of autonomy realms. So if you go to Honeyman State Park, you can literally zoom in on the park and see all of these things that I'm talking to you about, because they're separate, what I call signals. They're separate documents in my system. They're video transmissions, or they're documents, or and they all just sit there. Now, if I posted those to Facebook or something like that, or even YouTube, they lose relevancy very fast. Within a couple of days, they're going to mean nothing. Nobody's going to know about them. If it doesn't result in something, happening within the first couple of days of that video, then it disappears. It flattens your life. But if it sits in a realm, on a domain like rswfire.com, my homepage, if it sits there forever, pinned to the very places where they happened, also marked by, temporarily by their dates, so that you can filter, a person's life based on all kinds of different factors. It sits there unflattened. That's my experience, something that happened to me, and nobody else can erase it. It exists forever now. That's what autonomy realms is.